So for my simple suppers, I've already cooked a butt rarebit with ham, and I'm going to move on and make one of my favourite soups of all, which is a hot beetroot soup. So I want to start by grinding a few spices. This is my beloved pestle and mortar. So a few coriander seeds in there. Then I also want just a couple of cloves, which I'm going to grind up nice and fine. Really, really fine. I don't want kind of bitey bits at the bottom. So this could well have been a supper before boarding school, and then it was back to school where my name, Fat Val, would start being used immediately. I was always, could be found with my pockets stuffed full of crisps and Mars bars, munching away. And I had to wait quite a long time before I grew, but then suddenly at 16, I shot up really quickly, thank God. Okay, so that's done. I've already got some onions here, and to these, I'm going to add the coriander seeds and the cloves. In they go. I'm going to stick in a couple of lovely fresh bay leaves, some thyme. My family has been keen on beetroots forever. My wife's keen on beetroots, so I've eaten a huge amount of beetroots in my life. I do remember the first time I ate beetroot, and we all know what beetroot can do, and after being a little boy in the loo, I was so alarmed by the colour that I was very silent for a day, and I walked around looking deeply, deeply worried, and then Mum said, "What's gone wrong?" And I burst into tears and told her, and she said, "Don't worry, that's just what beetroot does." Okay, so that goes on the heat. And into that, I'm going to add some apples, chopped ginger, and parsnips. So my apples, chopped ginger, and parsnips are doing their thing, and in the meantime, I've got some lovely fresh beetroots. I don't like those little vinegary beetroots that you find that look a little bit like surgical waste, kind of wrapped up in plastic in the supermarket. If you're going to eat beetroots, eat them fresh. They are a totally different beast altogether. And putting rubber gloves on can be a wise move. I'm frequently kind of doing beetroots without putting gloves on and then going off to meetings with kind of bright red hands. So just take all the skin off. Now, beetroots really should be cooked with their skins on. If you peel them and then boil them, not only will they lose a lot of taste, but they'll lose a lot of colour. You want to cook them for about half an hour. The gloves aren't on properly. No, they were proving... Oh, look at that. Good things come to those... Oh, my God. Actually, I'm going to take these off. I'm not enjoying them at all. OK, just chop up the beetroots. Now I'm going back to my parsnips, apples, spices, bay leaves and thyme. Those have softened nicely. And to them, I'm going to add some stock. Duck stock is just one of my favourite things. And again, it was something of my mother's. She always seemed to be making duck stock rather than chicken stock. So in that goes. All the things that might normally be thrown away, kind of strings of celery, skins of onions, bits and bobs, kind of old herbs that might be lying around. You know, carrot peelings, just those kind of things. Some water, plenty of salt, and just let it wobble away for a couple of hours. So that's in there. And a nice blob of tomato puree. I really like new puree packets because you get to do that, which I find a lot of satisfaction in. So squeeze some in there, probably about a tablespoonful, and then add all the beetroots. This is pretty easy soup to make. I mean, what, it'll take half an hour or something, if you've got the beetroots, that is. Right, now I'm going to do my bean salad. I love beans of all types, and particularly French beans in a salad. They're wonderful. I think salads are terribly underrated things. Oh, salad's boring. Salad is an interesting forest of things with little bits of bacon peeking out like animals in a wood, and interesting herbs, and you can add eggs or croutons or whatever you want. And to say that a salad is a boring thing, it's just absolutely nuts. I love them. I eat a lot of them, and especially when I've done a lot of quite kind of heavy eating, and I go back to Mother Salad. She's kind of cleansing and strokes you, and you kind of get a bit of respite from the duck fat and nicking kind of crispy pork skin off other people's plates. Okay, so there's all my beans done. The water's bubbling away properly, so in they can go. So while they're going, I'm going to make my vinaigrette. So I want to start with just a little bit of garlic and chop that up nice and fine. I don't want it to be overpowering, but I do like a bit of garlic in my dressing. So really mush that up. When I think of salad dressing, it reminds me of a story that when I was very young, about 9, I was in America with my parents, and my mum was very good friends with Paul Newman's wife, and in fact, I had dinner with Paul Newman. And not only that, but it was the day that he clicked his fingers and said, "Waiter," I can't do his accent, "bring me all this stuff," and he rattled off a list of ingredients, and the waiter came back with all the ingredients for a vinaigrette, and he mixed it at the table, and he said, "I'm gonna start a vinaigrette company." And we all know Paul Newman's vinaigrette, and I was there. Right, so garlic's in there, a good splat of Dijon mustard this time, a spoonful of caster sugar. I do like mine a little sweeter than normal. I don't want something sour and face puckering. So a good splash of red wine vinegar, probably a couple of capfuls. So mix those together. And then what I want in here, I want some walnut oil. I love walnut oil as well as olive oil. So just a splash as it's quite strong, and finish the rest with olive oil. The soup's looking great. The beans are going about their business. And I know that dinner's coming pretty soon. So you really want to kind of get it nice and creamy, not split. So give it a good old whipping. So, it's delicious. The beans are done. Colander here. I'm going to drain them. There we go. Now, in order that they keep some of their colour and don't go kind of khaki, military, grey-green, I'm going to put them straight into some cold water and refresh them a little. I love beans. Okay, so they're nice and cool now. Drain them again. Really give them a good shake. You don't want a kind of really wet bean salad, water and vinaigrette. You really want them as dry as possible. Soup's making some very nice noises to my right. Patting, making sure they're nice and dry. They are. So now I want a bowl. In that goes. Happy beans. So I want one good fat shallot. I really like raw onion on things and raw shallots on things. I think it's good for the blood, and they fire me up.
So you were an artist before you became a cook. Do you still paint?
Now I'm a cook, I don't do so much art anymore, especially with the amount of fishing that I do as well. But I do illustrate my cookbooks. When I do manage to do it, I find it a great kind of, I get really, really into it. And the next, kind of table's covered in pencil sharpenings and coloured pencils. I just really, really love buying coloured pencils. Lastly, herbs. I don't want to chop all the herbs up. I just want whole little leaves, so little pieces of lovely pokey mint. Now I want some chives, so probably, yeah, just twist them in half. Don't bother chopping them up. They can go in as they are. And then this herb, which I do go on about far too much at food festivals and stuff, but this is lovage. It's kind of rather out of fashion in this country. It's very kind of slightly curry-like, slightly aniseedy, slightly licoricey, and it is just one of my favourite things in the world. And this is something I really do. The smell reminds me of, kind of living in Dorset and being a child and being in the garden in summer, and kind of the minute you barge past the lovage, this wonderful smell comes out. My mother was always kind of snipping it up in a mug with a pair of scissors before putting it in salads, and it just really reminds me of Warner family life. And then a little bit of curly parsley. Again, just whip that up. There's the beans with all the herbs in and the shallot. I don't want to dress it right now until I finish my soup, so that's what I'm going to do over here. I need some more vinegar, a good splash, but not too much. Okay, bay leaves out. Now everything in there should be nice and soft. I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to do it with one of these. If you are making this at home and you're using a blender, don't blend it while it's hot, or the lid will pop off and you'll decorate your kitchen something special. Oh God, it smells amazing. It might stand quite far back. Now, there we go, that's as smooth as it needs to be. Come back to my salad. So all the vinaigrette poured all over. Just gently toss all that together. I like quite a lot of vinaigrette on my salad. Right, then beetroot soup. What a colour. What a fantastic colour. Parsnips and apples and herbs and duck stock and fresh beetroots and vinegar. And then a good blob of creme fraiche in the middle. So that rounds off a very simple midweek supper. French beans vinaigrette with herbs and shallot, a lovely deep and warming beetroot soup with creme fraiche, and the buck rarebit with ham. That's the perfect home dinner for me.
A Tebet celebratory meal. This is the sort of thing I do every year for my daughter's birthday.
The dishes. You know, one thing I really learnt from Gordon, people don't remember the gimmicks, they remember